On Network Africa, 12 people killed as multiple fires raged across Algeria, leaving several families trapped. The first group of 173 Tanzanians and another batch of 67 Nigerians have returned to their countries from South Africa amid the anti-immigrant tension. Plus, the World Health Organization declares Uganda Ebola-free as the DRC receives vaccine shipments. Hello and welcome to the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin the program today in Northern Africa, where at least 12 people have been killed and dozens others injured as wildfires burn through large swaths of northern Algeria. Civil protection authorities said dozens of blazes swept through several provinces along the country's northern coastline. At least 54 people had suffered burn injuries, with at least 6 of them being treated in intensive care. The deaths come as northern African swelters under a severe heat wave, with Tunisia and Algeria particularly affected. The wildfires continue to spread across Jijel province, threatening residential areas as emergency crews battle multiple blazes. According to the World Meteorological Agency, North Africa was the fastest warming region on the African continent during 1991 to 2023, with temperatures rising by around 0.4 degrees Celsius per decade. Amid continuing anti-immigrant agitations in South Africa, a first group of 173 Tanzanians have returned home from South Africa on Thursday under a government-assisted voluntary repatriation program covering 669 people. The returnees arrived at the Julius Nyerere International Airport in Dar es Salaam this morning. The repatriation follows a wave of anti-migrant activism that has been happening in South Africa, with foreign nationals facing growing pressure over immigration and access to public services. South African authorities have intensified immigration enforcement, with 18,816 people formally deported between April and July, while the government says enforcement must remain lawful and humane. Well, Tanzania's voluntary repatriation program covers 669 of its citizens and is being carried out in phases across South Africa. Well, similarly, another batch of Nigerians have returned home. 67 of them arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, from the Rainbow Nation. The returnees landed via South Africa Airways at exactly 8:45 p.m. and were received by some federal government agencies, which included the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. The Southwest coordinator of the agency, Mr. Alex Oturu, said the return of this batch of Nigerians who returned due to xenophobic challenges in South Africa was facilitated by good-spirited Nigerians who assisted with their flight tickets and other interventions. To bilateral relations now, Nigeria and Thailand have committed to deepening ties between both countries across technology, agriculture, commerce and renewable energy, among other areas of strategic interest. This is a highlight of the meeting between the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, and a delegation from the Kingdom of Thailand, led by its Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Youssef Hassan Kalawi. Speaking during the meeting with the delegation at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, Senator Shettima acknowledged the existing cordial relationship between Nigeria and Thailand.
I believe that our relationship must go beyond crude oil, rice, and agricultural machinery. And I'm quite delighted that you are coming to two key nations in Africa. So enormous opportunities are available in this country, in ICT, in mining, in renewable energy, in agriculture, because the whole mantra in agriculture is increase in yield, and you have excelled. I visited some farms in Thailand, rice farms, that are producing 15, 20 metric tons per hectare. And I believe entrepreneurial capitalism is embedded in the very psyche of the average Nigerian. But what our people are lacking are the skill sets and the resources to place them in every space ladder of development. There is a need for us to upgrade our bilateral relationship with strategic partnership. You are an Asian giant, and your economy is doing excellently well. I would urge you to continue doing business with Nigeria, because Nigeria is Africa.
Yes.
The trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make Oman that destination.
Speaking after the meeting, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Hassan Kalawi praised the ongoing transformation in Nigeria under the administration of President Bola Tinubu, describing the country as a strategic partner with Thailand, a strong voice in the global south, and an emerging leader in e-commerce.
I think what we need to do is to enhance, more contacts between our two governments, more contacts at the high level between our two governments. And the purpose of my visit is to underscore the importance we attach to Nigeria bilaterally, and also as a strategic partner in this policy of that Thailand we are pursuing, what we call the Thailand-Africa Initiative, which is to enhance our partnership with the countries of Africa. We see a lot of opportunities in Africa. We want to not just do more trade investment, we want to be a partner in terms of helping your development process. And we have experiences to offer in terms of agriculture, health, tourism.
Nigeria and Turkey have expressed preparedness to deepen defense industrial cooperation with a focus on joint production, technology transfer, and local manufacturing of equipment. Speaking in Abuja at the 7th Nigeria-Turkey Defense Industry Business Forum, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, says Nigeria is seeking to move beyond a predominantly buyer-seller relationship towards a balanced and mutually beneficial defense industrial partnership that will promote joint production, local manufacturing, technology transfer, research and development, and also maintenance, repair and overhaul. The minister reiterates Nigeria's commitment to building a strong, self-reliant and globally competitive defense industrial base that is capable of supporting national security and economic development.
Nigeria is firmly committed to building a strong, self-reliant and globally competitive defense industrial base. The Defense Industrial Corporation of Nigeria, DICON Act 2023, provides an important institutional and legal framework for advancing this ambition, while creating greater opportunities for private sector participation, strategic investment, technology transfer, and partnership with reputable international defense manufacturers. Our ambition goes beyond meeting Nigeria's immediate defense requirements. We seek to develop an industrial ecosystem capable of positioning Nigeria as a competitive defense manufacturing hub in Africa, one that creates quality employment, develops highly skilled Nigerian professionals, strengthening domestic supply chains, promote innovation and contribute to national security as well as broader economic development. This vision is particularly important at a time when global security environment is becoming increasingly complex and technologically driven.
In his remarks, the Vice President SSB Turkey and the head of the Turkish defense delegation says the forum could mark a new chapter in Nigeria-Turkey relations by bringing defense companies from both countries together.
Purpose here is to have strategic relations with Nigeria
and in general in Africa. Turkey gives great importance to the continent and the Nigeria. What we believe, as long as we have open and productive coordination, cooperation, collaboration, then the profit, the benefit will be the outcome. And for a long, sustaining relations, we would like to have win-win relations between both nations.
Nigeria's Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, speaking there alongside the head of the Turkish Defense Delegation, Gökmen Uka, at the 7th Nigeria-Turkey Defense Industry Business Forum. Well, moving on, Canada's Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Carlos Rojas Abulu, has commended the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, and its 15-member NIDEC Planning Committee for successfully organizing a highly impactful diaspora conference in Canada. Mr. Rojas Abulu described the conference as a significant step towards strengthening bilateral relations between Nigeria and Canada, noting that it provided an important platform for enhanced cooperation, engagement, and development between both countries. He stated this during a courtesy visit to the chairman of NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, in Lagos, where he praised the commission and members of the planning committee for the successful organization of the conference and its positive outcomes. Ms. Dabiri Erewa, in response, expressed appreciation for the commendation and thanked the Canadian authorities for their support and partnership, saying the positive feedback demonstrates that the conference had achieved its objectives. The three-day conference held across 3 cities in Canada, bringing together senior government officials from Nigeria and Canada, diaspora professionals, investors, and other stakeholders.
Very successful Nigeria Diaspora Economic Conference in Toronto, Canada. Thank you for the advice you gave, all the support you gave. It was successful beyond our imagination. So we're really grateful for the support from you, from the Canadian government, and from our government too. And it's a very good way forward for both countries in terms of relationship with the diaspora, our business connections. So I just want to say thank you.
And the first thing that I'll say is congratulations as well, and thank you for the leadership that you're demonstrating once again with regards to trying to bring our peoples together. This particular conference was quite a success. I was happy to watch from afar so many people showing up, so many people coming together, both from the federal and the state level of Nigeria, and likewise on the Canadian side, having Canadian companies, having officials from the province as well as the municipality at the federal level, which to me speaks to how much there is interest to try to strengthen and to try to grow the relationship. I particularly think that that comes into play at a time that our countries are growing our ties. You will have seen that we now are going to have the direct flights between Lagos and Toronto, and I can only imagine that that's going to have a positive impact in terms of more trade, in terms of more people-to-people exchanges, potentially more investment going both ways, and as a result, an opportunity to be able to build on some of the things that you're doing and some of the things that you've started to be able to grow that relationship. So likewise, thank you for that effort, thank you for that leadership, and I really hope that we can continue to build and then move across other sectors and mobilize other stakeholders that I think believe that the Canada-Nigeria relationship is a strong one, and that clearly is going to have an even greater year, 2027 and beyond. So thank you, Dr. Abike, much appreciated.
As the chairman of NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, with the Canadian Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Carlos Rojas Abulu. Well, moving on to other stories, the government of Ghana has declined a 20 million Ghanaian cedis, which equates to $1.8 million donation offered by MTN Ghana, and that's to support Ghanaians that were victims affected by the recent xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs disclosed the rejection in a press statement saying that the President, John Mahama's administration, has already made sufficient financial provisions for the evacuation and reintegration of affected citizens, making it unnecessary to accept the telecom giant's offer. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Ablakwa said the decision was not a rejection of MTN's gesture, but reflected the government's existing arrangements to handle the humanitarian response. Well, let's take a break now on the program. Still to come. The 5th Regional Maritime Law Enforcement Dialogue for the Red Sea area ends in Nairobi, Kenya. We'll give you more details after the break. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. We continue in southern Africa. Police in Zimbabwe have arrested a district official who has been charged with culpable homicide over the sinking of a government-run ferry that claimed the lives of at least 97 people. Police say the 49-year-old district coordinator for the state-run Rural Infrastructure Development Agency has appeared in court and will remain in custody. The overloaded vessel capsized in bad weather on August 11 on Lake Kariba and on the border with Zambia. Estimates put the number of passengers at more than 150 on a ferry authorized to carry just 90 people, as ferries serve as a crucial transport link between Kariba town and remote communities. Eswatini says it will not be coerced, disadvantaged or destabilized over its foreign policy choices. And this was after China told its citizens to immediately leave the country. China's foreign ministry had told its citizens to leave the southern African kingdom over security risks, citing rampant cyber fraud and criminal activities associated with gambling. But China did not give details. It suggested its citizens to relocate as soon as possible to relatively safer countries such as neighboring South Africa. The Southern African enclave is one of 12 countries that still recognize Taiwan, despite Chinese efforts to persuade them to break diplomatic ties with the self-ruled island. African countries and international health partners are stepping up the fight against Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo with more than $100 million in funding and 70,000 vaccine doses mobilized as officials outline cross-border responses. Speaking at a WHO briefing in Addis Ababa, Uganda's delegate said the country has deployed health workers and established treatment centers and laboratories. Meanwhile, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, says it has mobilized more than $23.6 million and conducted over 19.8 million health screenings at 227 points of entry. On its part, the WHO is calling for stronger cross-border coordination and also information sharing to tackle the Ebola virus.
The world. Uganda wants to add its voice to thanking the many partners not yet listed on those who have responded and supported the response to Ebola. I realize that list was not exhaustive. Secondly, we want to appreciate the President of Uganda for allowing Uganda to deploy its health workers across the border, a true test of solidarity. So as you fund the response, Uganda has already set up 2 treatment centers and 2 laboratory setups, and we are yet currently expanding the 3rd. We look forward to partnering with those who want to support DRC through Uganda, and many are doing so. Finally, Chair, 30 days ago, Uganda declared the end of our outbreak because this was a unique outbreak of imported cases. Uganda stands to share experience, including sharing with WHO in how to revise the declaration protocols, including treatment because we've shown that we currently have only a case fatality rate at 20%, 10%, not 20. That can be different if you allow WHO also to learn from Uganda.
Well, staying with Ebola outbreak, the World Health Organization has officially confirmed the end of Uganda's latest Ebola outbreak. Uganda recorded 20 cases, with authorities declaring the country Ebola-free after 42 days without a new infection. The outbreak was linked to cases originating in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, prompting Uganda to impose swift measures to prevent further transmission. More than 4,500 cases have been confirmed across 6 provinces in the DRC, with over 2,000 deaths reported. The WHO says the risk of the virus spreading to neighboring countries remains high. And in response to the Ebola outbreak in the DRC, WHO health teams, supported by the United Nations mission in South Sudan, have traveled to Enzo in Western Equatoria State, and that's for a 10-day visit to assess risks and prevent the deadly virus from crossing the border, and also to safeguard communities on both sides as the town's busy gateway turns into a frontline battleground. For some residents, border trade is not optional, it is how they survive. However, health officials say they are intensifying efforts to prevent the virus from reaching Ezo by ensuring frontline workers have the skill and equipment needed before an emergency strikes.
We need to train health workers on how to identify an Ebola case, how to protect, how to isolate, how to treat, and how to evacuate and refer to the ETU in case there is a confirmed case. We have a number of assorted PPEs. We also brought some sample collection materials, and we have handed them over to the county health department in Ezo.
So we have like 3 major entry points at Congo, and we have been taking control only of one entry point, which is entering from Ezo Payam to Nebiakwa to Congo. So we expect that with this support from WHO, they will think into that and also see what they can do in order to make the screen point be active, and also think about the other screen entry points that have not yet been under control.
In Nairobi, Kenya, the 5th Regional Maritime Law Enforcement Dialogue for the Red Sea area has just concluded, and it comes amid growing maritime security concerns. Maritime security authorities and law enforcement representatives from Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somalia, and Yemen gathered at the dialogue, which was organized by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, and in partnership with the European Union, Interpol, and other agencies. The meeting aimed to enhance regional cooperation and information sharing to improve maritime security in the area. Gulf of Aden and Red Sea Regional Coordinator Mustafa El-Bana explained that the UNODC supports the efforts, stressing that they enhance capacity building for law enforcement agencies in general. The South African Reserve Bank has launched 2 commemorative R2 coins, marking the first time women have featured on the country's currency and honoring anti-apartheid activist Charlotte Makeke and the women of the historic 1956 Women's March. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kyayago said the coins celebrate women whose contributions helped paved the way for South Africa's democracy, noting that women have always grabbed the knife from its sharp end. One of the R2 coins marks 125 years since Makeke became the first black South African woman to graduate with a university degree, while the second commemorates 70 years since the 1956 Women's March against apartheid-era passed laws.
Today, we celebrate the legacy of Charlotte Manya Maxeke and the women who marched to the Union buildings in 1956. This is a fitting place for the launch. It was at the State Theatre, directly across the street, that 20,000 women began their march to the Union buildings to protest against the extension of past laws to black women.
And as we end the program, here's our fun fact about the continent. Did you know that South Africa is home to the cradle of humankind, one of the world's richest sites for the early human fossils? The UNESCO World Heritage Site has produced fossils dating back millions of years, including the famous discoveries. Scientists believe the area provides important evidence about human evolution and our ancient ancestors. So some of the most important clues to humanity's past are buried right here in Africa. And that's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.